about this matchup at the beginning of the day. A lot of us were thinking we were going to go to 5 games, but here it is, the 3-0, pretty commanding.
I thought that Huni was going to get a lot of resources and roll over Koro, who we haven't seen in 2 months. And I thought that 3-0 was something that we definitely could see today. But after that first game, I did think it was going to go to 5 just because of how close it was and the different strategies that we were seeing.
Yeah, and I think that this was a 3-0 series. And don't get me wrong, Fnatic made me a believer at MSI. I think I said it back then as well, that like I went into MSI and I didn't really have like really high expectations for this European lineup. And ever since then, I've always kept like a really close eye on Fnatic. And I think the thing that impressed me today is that like game 1, like to me, Yellow Star carried that game. That re-engage was like superb, and like he brought them back into it, right, with great shot calling. And then the second game that they won, it was like all about Huni in the carry top lane. Then this game is like legitimately a protect the Jinx comp that they run through the AD carry, who like just absolutely goes off. This is a team that won 3 games in 3 completely different fashion and was looking to win game 1.5, the one that didn't complete, by stalling out a game when they're normally an early game team. Like if you can play League of Legends in all these different fashions, like every single time you get on the Rift, you go with a certain kind of advantage. And EDG didn't show up in the way that I expected today, but that is partially because Fnatic didn't let them show up in that fashion and played commanding League of Legends.
Something I want to add, in the final game, the EDG's draft, it kind of felt like one of those drafts they did in the group stages, where it's kind of reliant on the enemy to make mistakes. We saw this one moment where they TP'd in and kind of did this pincer movement on the Fnatic roster where they actually took a good fight, but Riven, of course, Huni kind of saved it. He saved it big time. And them drafting like this feels kind of disrespectful. It kind of plays into what you've been saying all the time, that Chinese teams are a bit cocky coming into this. And seeing them draft in such an important game in that matter is kind of disappointing to me.
I think we saw it in the draft, and we saw it in the play as well. When they were chasing down Febivin in game 1, and they could have double TP'd to the bot lane to possibly end the game, that was something I thought they were just overlooking. They could have at least tried it. They could have gone for that play, and it showed in their draft as well. But something I want to touch on is the draft, the Fnatic that you were touching on. Because not only are they getting a great draft that they're comfortable with afterwards, and they get to pat Daylor on the back, they know how to play whatever comp they come out with. They're saying, this is our win condition. This is what we need to do to win the game and put ourselves in the driver's seat. And I believe Daylor and Yellow Star are the 2 people to credit with that, because right before Champion Select ends, they're figuring out, what are we doing? How are we playing the first 20 minutes of this game? And they take over with in-game shot calling, and I love that.
Yeah, and that's what I really want to hit on here, because when I talk to Deficio, and I talk to him a lot about the Chinese teams, we say that EDG, like when we give them a name, are like the chess masters. When they're playing the best League of Legends, they're trading pieces with you until they can take your king. Like that is legitimately how they play the map. What happened today, which is why it's so impressive for me, and now why I'll watch Fnatic even closer, is that Fnatic won every single one of those trades in the end. And then even when it looked like EDG was going to make that game-winning change, Fnatic just did something, right? Like, they kited out with Victor for long enough to save the game. Huni somehow picks up a kill on the AD carry to delay a Baron that would have come through in 22 minutes in that game. Somehow a headbutt pulverized at like 3,000 gold deficit in game 1 completely swings the whole momentum. And if you're able to just have X-factor moments like that, it's not like they have one. They had one in like every single game. You're just going to win League of Legends.
It's also the fact that like in the first game, that big team fight, the thing that was worrying me coming into this and predicting that Fnatic would win, the one thing that kept me worried for Fnatic was EDG's kind of way of fighting in the later, the scrappiness and the way they kind of find intelligent ways to catch people off guard. And that never happened. The moment we saw that fight that kind of won them the game in the first game, I was relieved.
Well, and that's where I want to get into the scrappiness and this game in particular, because like, yet again, we saw EDG draft themselves into a low wave clear comp that has a difficult time sieging, slightly better because they have the Gragas and the Sivir together, so there's slightly more engage, and they at least have a ranged AD carry. But they continued to draft themselves into these compositions, and this goes to your point about the Daylor and the coaching staff for Fnatic responding in kind with a perfect composition to counter that. And where is it coming from, or what is the stubbornness for EDG that they wanted to stay in that mode?
So one thing I will say is EDG, in my opinion, and I think a lot of Chinese fans' opinion, is they're the best coached Chinese team. So this just shows, like Aaron and his coaching staff, they have people like Reaper that are like great Korean players that like train their top laners. Like they are honestly a very well-coached team. But it speaks to the fact that when they play against Chinese teams, they are missing part of the meta currently, because it looks like right now, China versus China is all the Chinese teams are giving us. And the rest of the world has somehow figured out a meta that China cannot play to. They look underprepared compared to the Europeans and the Koreans.
Now, Fnatic came up big today, and playing a huge part in Fnatic's sweep to advance to the semifinals was their mid laner, Fnatic, who racked up 16 kills and dealt over 36% of his team's damage across 3 games, earning the title of Player of the Series.
Not only was he consistent across these games in particular and playing at an extraordinarily high level as a rookie to be a top 4 mid laner here at Worlds and put himself in that position in the semifinals, this is a guy that plays so many different styles. When we first saw him, he was a Riven one-trick main mid laner. Then he decided, you know what, I'll play some Xerath, Azir, Orianna, and now he's playing so many different things. And this is the thing I love about Fnatic, is he's not just a one-style guy. We see people who don't have that versatility to him, but he is definitely the full package mid laner.
And what's funny, Spawn, you talked about how the team had game-winning X-Factor moments or stars in each game. You know, Yellowstar Game 1, Huni Game 2, and then a Jinx Game 3. None of those are Fnatic, right? But all of 3 of those are made possible by the consistency of their mid laner, and that is why he is landing in this spot of Player of the Series.
And one thing I want to say is, like, doing it against other mid laners, sure, that's impressive. Doing it against Pawn 3 games in a row, 4 games in a row, actually, because they played 4 games against each other, is just, like, out of the world crazy. This is a guy that is, like, he absorbs people's powers and throws it back at you, and Fnatic was just able to take it to him, like, every single game.
And of course, it's like I'm just still in my mind drawing the comparison to
MSI.
him facing a Pawn at MSI, and it was just night and day. And today we had this glorious mid lane matchup that was so even throughout the game.
He's just a sponge of knowledge, and he just keeps getting better. He's soaking everything in, not just pressure, but information.
Well, why don't we hear from the man himself? Right now, we've got Jat standing by with our Player of the Series.
Thanks, Dash. I'm joined here by Fnatic, who just 3-0'd EDG. You've had a small amount of time to kind of soak in the victory. How do you feel in general about that series?
I feel really great after the series because I really didn't expect that we would 3-0 them because they're a really strong team. They have really strong individual players, but we managed to get a good early game every game, basically. And when EDG falls behind, their team communication falls apart, I think, because they speak different languages in the game, and we were just a better team after getting the good early game.
Definitely felt like you guys carried a lot of momentum throughout the series as well. In the interview just now, Shox asked Yellowstar about you specifically and said that you have worked a lot on your mindset this year. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you've done to improve, especially your mindset in-game?
For me, I've been focusing on my mindset because it was my weakest point. I try to always stay positive, always try to learn anything I can. And even though it's hard in Europe solo queue because there's so many trolls, and it's I managed to get a good mindset for this tournament, and it's helped me a lot because 1 year ago I would get mad or like frustrated very fast, but now it's completely different. So if something bad happens in the game, I can just get over it, and then I can just focus on the game and win the game.
And the upcoming game will be the semifinals now. You guys face the winner of the Crew Tigers versus KT Rolster. Ask this question every time. Is there a team you would rather face after the results tomorrow? And how are you looking at that matchup that's happening tomorrow?
I think I would rather... for me, it doesn't matter who we face, actually. But I think Crew is the better team, so I think we're probably going to face them. But I'm not sure yet because scrims are not like the real matches, so it can go either way. We have a lot of time off now, or like a few days, and we will definitely be prepared.
Have you actually had a chance to scrim both of those teams back in the group stages?
Yes, we have been scrimming basically every team.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Febin, for the interview. Congratulations on the victory. Let's send it back to Dash at the desk.
Thank you, Jad. I think his point about his mindset was particularly obvious in Game 1. Because it was so hectic and crazy, we saw Pawn making plays in other lanes, and that didn't shake Fnatic. He still managed a 30 CS lead up and picked up 2 kills of his own to match Pawn.
And I absolutely love that, too, because when there's 3 TPs, and even Yellowstar was talking about it, it's so frustrating. They're all over the map. You don't know how to counter this, and you have to come up with a strategy mid-game. But I also want to talk about what he said, where he said they had a good early game every game. On the 9 games that are on record here for Fnatic, they have gotten first blood in every single game of the World Championship for them, save for the remake. That's incredible. They're having such a great early game, and they're knowing what to pressure on the map, when to pressure early. That gets them that lead, that gets them to play their composition out later.
I just want to know what the heck they feed European players, because they are so chill. That's like the biggest game of his life. He like gets man of the series. But like in all honesty, like speaking about his mindset, like there was a moment in one of the games, I think it was game 2, where Azir altered pawn into his jungler, and his jungler completely whiffed the gank. Like he tunneled under the Azir ult to be on the wrong side. Like if that was me, like once again frustrated, would pick on my keyboard, but like, you can just see that he's like cool, calm, and collected the whole way through. And this speaks to like how good Fnatic are as a team. They can make fumbles, but it's not about the fumbles because you forget them so quickly because of how many good players they have.
Spawn toxic.
It's
Not in just to my keyboard.
Just to the keyboard. Okay.
It's like when I hear Fabian speak about his mindset, this is the mindset as a coach you want in every player. The beauty lies in the process. You always take something good out of anything that is bad. No matter how bad some games go, you need to take what is beautiful in it because you can learn from anything. And me hearing him saying that gives me goosebumps because I love hearing it.
But he's apparently learned that mindset, and it's been kind of given to him by his teammates in Daylor. What would you do? How would you get this mindset into your players? Are you still working on that?
Don't get me started. I'll speak about it. I need a 30-minute...
That's for later. That's for after this show. Accolades for Fnatic all around, but Fnatic's coordination was really on point in today's games, and Mr. Xavier took notice, writing, "That Baron fight, the wombo combo of AoEs, EDG just melted." Let's check out your world's big play of the day.
Jumped in. Deft has got dunked by the Cataclysm, and he's dropped. The grand challenge is onto Huni, and it procs, healing up EDG. But it does not matter. Goro's killed through the heel. Clearlove stunned up by Reckless. The Pulverize connects. Fnatic find 3 kills.
And Yellowstar, the captain, the shot caller for the team, makes the play. He dodges the hook from Mako, circles around, Reignover teleports in, and they're able to get the fight they want.
The thing that makes this play so impressive to me is the only international tournament we'd seen so far this year, like for a Riot-affiliated one, was MSI. And EDG won that tournament off 20-minute team fights into Baron. And Fnatic, in game 1 of a series against EDG, just completely stomped them in a 20-minute team fight. It was 20 minutes, 50 seconds when it kicked off. Took Baron, took the game, took the series. They did it like nearly every single game. Like you cannot ask for more growth out of a team.
Yeah, for sure. Right after this fight, I was relieved because I thought this was the only part of the game where EDG would completely like crush them. But I got relieved. I could breathe out.
Yeah, they were down in kills as well right before that fight. Fnatic was clawing back. That TP from Deft, though, that's what I was talking about. You bring
Deft.
TP on an AD carry and you don't use it correctly.
Yeah.
But once again, never underestimate pressure in a game. If you surprise a team like that, people are going to make mistakes. Deft is like one of the best AD carries in the world, and he just completely fumbled it.
I felt in that particular game, even though Fnatic might not have been prepared for this particular strategy, I don't feel like EDG were too prepared with this strategy.
Exactly.
Because in the 20-minute mark, it kind of felt lost. That we didn't really see Jace
That was
being
the question
active.
mark. That was the question mark.
That was the
Reminds me
question
of when
mark in the business plan.
Maple took cleanse instead of ignite on Ahri, and he didn't feel comfortable with it, and he cleansed in front of a Gragas that had no HP. Right?
Sure.
You have to be trained with these things.
They have Fnatic's win leaves just 1 spot open in next week's semifinals, which will be claimed tomorrow when KT Rolster takes on the Coup Tigers in our last quarterfinal showdown. Gentlemen, knowing that Fnatic is going to go up against one of these teams, Jat asked Febivin which of these 2 teams he'd rather face. He thinks Coup is the stronger team. Who do you think Fnatic has a better shot up against in the semifinals?
Personally, I feel like if KT face Fnatic, I feel like KT have a stronger chance. But Coup against Fnatic, I feel Coup will beat, like, Coup is the kind of team that dissects team. And Fnatic have shown so much diversity, so it's so hard to dissect anything at all. But when it comes to KT and the Coup matchup, I feel like Coup is going to win, but I feel like KT is the stronger opponent for Fnatic. Because if Huni is in a situation where he falls behind, it kind of shows. But in these 3 games, he was almost never behind.
So in your opinion, Fnatic's in a good spot, given the fact that the team they're better suited against, you think will win in tomorrow, or will lose in tomorrow's matchup?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think that Coup definitely is a team that's very experienced against KT, and I expect them to be able to take the matchup. And honestly, I don't know who is favored in the Coup versus Fnatic matchup. All I really care about is it's Smev versus Huni, Riven versus Riven, and if there was a blind pick game 5, like, I wish I could just see that one-on-one top lane.
Well, there's not, so let me crush your hopes and dreams right now. Moving on to Zyrene.
I think it's going to be KT. I feel like I'm on the someday train right now. I love the way that guy plays top lane, and I want to see him up against Huni just to have that clash Clash of the Titans.
All right, well, we will be finding out who they'll play tomorrow when our coverage of the Korean Clash gets underway tomorrow at 2 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. That's 6 a.m. Pacific, so rest up, gentlemen. Until then, we need to go on cooldown. Be sure to stick around for Worlds Tonight, which gets underway in just 15 minutes. And on behalf of everyone here covering the 2015 League of Legends World Championship, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in solo queue.